Hello friends! When we combine the Western zodiac with the Chinese zodiac, we unlock a deeper, more textured understanding of personality dynamics. Today, we explore the fascinating pairing of the Aries Snake and the Leo Goat, two individuals who, at first glance, seem drawn together by an irresistible magnetism, yet who may also be challenged by their contrasting emotional rhythms and life approaches. The Aries Snake is a fusion of Aries' fiery, determined energy and the snake's cunning, elegance, and strategic depth. This is a person who is quick to act but rarely without a plan, blending impulsive passion with calculated wisdom. They thrive on challenge, excel in situations where intellect meets instinct, and value both power and privacy. The Leo Goat, on the other hand, merges Leo's radiant charisma and desire for recognition with the goat's artistic sensitivity, romantic idealism, and occasional need for reassurance. This personality type is warm, generous, and aesthetically inclined, yet can be emotionally complex, shifting between self-confidence and vulnerability. Love. In romance, the connection between an Aries snake and a Leo goat often begins with a spark so immediate and powerful that both partners feel as if fate itself has orchestrated their meeting. From the first exchange of glances, there is an undeniable undercurrent of fascination, not the shallow intrigue of a casual crush, but something deeper, layered, and mysterious. The Aries snake, blending Aries' fiery intensity with the snake's strategic elegance, perceives in the Leo goat a rare combination of warmth, artistic sensitivity, and a certain gentleness that feels both inviting and soothing to their often restless spirit. For the Aries snake, who is accustomed to approaching relationships with a mixture of passion and guarded caution, the Leo goat offers a sense of emotional beauty and softness that seems like a refuge from the relentless pace of their own inner drive. On the other side of this dynamic, the Leo goat is captivated by the Aries snake's quiet yet undeniable charisma. Unlike more overtly flamboyant personalities, the snake's allure is not about loud declarations or constant displays of dominance. It's a magnetic subtlety, an unspoken promise of depth, protection, and purpose. The goat senses that behind the snake's composed exterior lies a reservoir of determination, ambition, and refined taste, qualities that resonate with the goat's own desire for a partner who can both admire and support their dreams. Both personalities share a profound appreciation for beauty, though they interpret it in distinctly different ways. The Aries snake sees beauty as a manifestation of control, mastery, and the ability to shape one's world according to a personal vision. For them, elegance is purposeful, a symbol of capability and discernment. The Leo goat, by contrast, experiences beauty as a source of joy, harmony, and emotional enrichment. They find meaning in artistic expression, in the gentle balance of colors, textures, and feelings, and in the shared enjoyment of life's pleasures. This difference in perspective can actually strengthen their bond, as each partner offers the other a new lens through which to see and appreciate the world. Yet, despite the initial intoxication of their attraction, the romance is not without its complexities. The Aries snake is naturally inclined toward emotional reserve. Even when they feel deeply, they often choose to reveal their feelings selectively, preferring a measured pace that allows them to maintain a sense of control over the unfolding relationship. This is not emotional coldness, rather, it's a form of self-protection, a way of ensuring that vulnerability is given only when trust is fully earned. The Leo goat, however, is wired differently. They thrive on open affection, verbal affirmation, and gestures that reassure them of their partner's devotion. For them, love is not something to be rationed, it is something to be expressed freely, frequently, and without hesitation. This fundamental difference in emotional tempo can create moments of misunderstanding. The goat may interpret the snake's caution as disinterest or detachment, leading to insecurity or doubt. At the same time, the snake may view the goat's need for reassurance as excessive, even intrusive, fearing that such emotional demands could compromise their sense of independence. Over time, these contrasting approaches to emotional expression can become both a point of friction and an opportunity for growth. If the Aries snake remains unwilling to step outside their comfort zone and show more warmth in tangible, consistent ways, the goat's sense of emotional safety may erode. Conversely, if the Leo goat cannot learn to trust the snake's quieter demonstrations of commitment, often revealed in actions rather than words, they may fall into a cycle of seeking validation that the snake is reluctant to give on demand. However, when they actively work on understanding each other's love languages, the transformation can be remarkable. The Aries snake, realizing that affection does not necessarily equate to a loss of control, can begin to express their feelings more openly, whether through words, physical closeness, or symbolic gestures that speak directly to the goat's heart. Likewise, the Leo goat, recognizing that the snake's reserve is not a lack of love but a different form of it, can learn to appreciate the subtle, steady ways in which their partner shows commitment, through loyalty, reliability, and consistent presence. A relationship between these two thrives when they engage in deep, honest conversations about their emotional needs, setting aside assumptions and learning to listen without judgment. The snake's willingness to let the goat in on their inner world, even in small increments, builds a foundation of trust that the goat treasures. In turn, the goat's ability to give the snake space without interpreting it as rejection fosters a sense of freedom that allows the snake to stay emotionally invested without feeling confined. When this mutual understanding is achieved, the love between Aries snake and Leo goat can deepen into something rare and enduring. It becomes a union where passion and tenderness coexist, where differences are not threats but complementary strengths, and where both partners feel simultaneously secure and inspired. In such a bond, the snake's calculated intensity and the goat's unfiltered warmth create a rhythm uniquely their own, a dance of fire and silk, strength and grace, ambition and artistry. This is not the kind of romance that burns bright and fades quickly. When nurtured with patience and empathy, it is the kind that grows richer, more intricate, and more beautiful with each passing year. Marriage. In marriage, the union of an Aries snake and a Leo goat is an intricate interplay of structure and artistry, discipline and warmth, long-term vision and present-moment joy. At its core, this partnership is a meeting between two fundamentally different approaches to life's shared responsibilities. The Aries snake steps into the role of steady strategist almost by instinct. They are naturally inclined to plan ahead, anticipate challenges, and implement systems that ensure security and order. To the snake, marriage is not only a bond of love but also a partnership in life management, where stability becomes both a foundation and a form of protection against uncertainty. This is not a role they adopt reluctantly, it is a source of pride, a way of expressing their commitment in concrete, measurable ways. The Leo goat, by contrast, is driven by an instinctive desire to make their shared home a sanctuary of warmth, beauty, and emotional comfort. They excel at creating spaces that are not just functional but aesthetically inviting, filled with colors, textures, and small details that reflect their creativity and desire for harmony. For the goat, marriage is a living, breathing work of art, a relationship that should not only function smoothly but also inspire joy and nurture the souls of those within it. Their contributions are often less about rigid plans and more about the day-to-day emotional climate, ensuring that love is expressed through warmth, attentiveness, and shared experiences. Together, these two archetypes can create a home that is both efficient and beautiful. The snake ensures that the bills are paid, the future is secured, and the couple's goals are clearly defined. The goat ensures that each day within that secure framework is infused with comfort, romance, and moments worth savoring. When this balance is respected, the marriage can feel like a perfect fusion of form and feeling, a place where ambition and artistry coexist in harmony. Yet, despite this potential for complementarity, the very differences that make them strong as a team can also become points of friction. The Aries snake's controlling tendencies, their preference for having the final say in decisions, their focus on long-term outcomes, their insistence on precision, can at times feel stifling to the Leo goat, who needs a degree of freedom to express themselves creatively and emotionally. The goat may bristle at overly strict budgeting, rigid schedules, or a perceived lack of spontaneity, interpreting these as limitations on their ability to fully enjoy life. Conversely, the snake may find the goat's approach to certain matters frustrating or even irresponsible. The snake's instinct is to conserve resources, prepare for potential risks, and maintain a certain level of control over the couple's trajectory. The goat's occasional impulsiveness, especially when it comes to spending on experiences, luxuries, or aesthetic upgrades to the home, can be perceived by the snake as destabilizing or wasteful. This is particularly evident in financial decisions, where the snake's long-term security mindset clashes with the goat's "life is meant to be lived" philosophy. The success of their marriage often hinges on whether they can align their values regarding stability and indulgence. This alignment is not about one partner fully adopting the other's approach, but about finding a sustainable middle ground. When the snake learns to relax their grip slightly, to understand that occasional spontaneity and small indulgences do not necessarily undermine security, the goat feels more trusted and free to contribute their emotional and creative gifts. Likewise, when the goat develops greater financial discipline and an appreciation for the snake's foresight, they begin to see that stability can actually enable greater freedom in the long run. Communication is central to achieving this equilibrium. The most successful Aries Snake-Leo goat marriages are those where each partner takes the time to understand the deeper motivations behind the other's behavior. The snake's cautious planning is not coldness, but an act of protection. The goat's love of beauty and occasional extravagance is not frivolity, but an expression of their desire to make life more joyful and meaningful. Recognizing the sincerity behind these differences allows them to approach disagreements with empathy rather than judgment. Over time, these couples often develop a rhythm that feels natural and enduring. The snake becomes the architect of the couple's shared future, while the goat becomes the artist who fills that structure with color, light, and life. Each partner begins to see the other's role as indispensable, not in opposition to their own values but as a complement to them. This mutual respect is the glue that holds the marriage together through challenges and changes. When the balance is right, their household is a place where ambition meets comfort, where the drive to achieve is matched by the capacity to enjoy. It is a home where plans are made not just for security's sake, but also to enable the experiences and creative expression that make life worth living. Such a marriage does not happen automatically. It is the result of conscious effort, ongoing compromise, and a willingness to embrace the differences that first drew them together. In the best cases, those differences are not merely tolerated but celebrated, becoming the very elements that give their shared life its depth, resilience, and beauty. Sex. Sexually, the connection between an Aries snake and a Leo goat is a meeting of two fundamentally different yet deeply complementary energies, creating a relationship in which attraction is both magnetic and layered. From the very beginning, there is an unmistakable physical pull between them, an almost electric awareness of each other's presence, even in a crowded room. The Aries snake, with their innate blend of Aries boldness and the snake's slow-burning intensity, approaches physical intimacy with deliberate purpose. For them, sex is never just an instinctive act. It is a carefully orchestrated experience, where every glance, every touch, every pause is part of a larger design meant to heighten anticipation and deepen emotional resonance. The Leo goat enters the sexual realm with a different kind of intention, one rooted in emotional expression, beauty, and a desire to feel deeply connected. To them, intimacy is not merely physical pleasure. It is an extension of love, a way to communicate admiration, appreciation, and devotion without words. They seek a partner who not only desires them but cherishes them, who makes them feel special in ways that go beyond surface attraction. The goat is attuned to the emotional atmosphere of an encounter, sensitive to nuances of tone, mood, and energy. When these two come together, the result can be both intense and transformative. The snake's natural sensuality, deliberate, controlled, and infused with a subtle air of mystery, creates an alluring tension that draws the goat in. The goat, with their warmth and openness, responds to this tension with genuine emotional engagement, offering a tenderness that can disarm even the snake's most guarded instincts. However, their contrasting approaches can also present challenges. The snake's tendency to plan and control the rhythm of intimacy can, at times, feel overly calculated to the goat, whose romantic impulses are more spontaneous and emotionally fluid. While the snake may savor the slow build, the goat may long for moments of unstructured passion, where desire is allowed to spill over without regard for timing or sequence. If unaddressed, this difference can lead to a subtle disconnect, with the goat feeling constrained and the snake feeling that the goat lacks appreciation for the art of anticipation. Yet, this very difference can become a strength when approached with understanding. The snake can teach the goat the beauty of slowing down, of savoring each moment with intention, turning intimacy into an almost meditative experience. In turn, the goat can help the snake loosen their grip on control, allowing for moments where passion takes precedence over planning. The snake may discover that spontaneity does not diminish the experience but adds another layer of excitement and authenticity, while the goat learns that carefully crafted intimacy can heighten emotional closeness rather than diminish it. Their physical compatibility thrives on mutual respect for each other's needs. The snake must recognize that for the goat, intimacy is inseparable from emotional safety and admiration. Words of praise, small acts of adoration, and an environment that feels beautiful and comfortable are not optional luxuries, they are integral to the goat's ability to fully surrender to the moment. Likewise, the goat must understand that the snake's reserve is not a lack of desire but a deliberate pacing, a way of ensuring that every encounter is memorable and deeply satisfying. When they achieve balance, their sexual relationship becomes a fusion of sensual artistry and emotional sincerity. The snake's precision and the goat's warmth combine to create a rhythm that is neither hurried nor static, but alive with a blend of controlled intensity and heartfelt spontaneity. This is the kind of physical connection that deepens over time, as trust builds and each partner becomes more attuned to the other's subtle cues and unspoken desires. For the Aries snake, the ultimate satisfaction comes from knowing that their efforts to create an unforgettable experience are met with genuine appreciation and emotional reciprocity. For the Leo goat, fulfillment lies in feeling desired not only for their physical beauty but for the emotional richness they bring to the relationship. Together, they can transform intimacy into a language all their own, one that speaks of passion, tenderness, trust, and the kind of connection that cannot be replicated with anyone else. When nurtured with patience and openness, their sexual bond can become one of the strongest aspects of their relationship. It is a space where they can step away from the outside world, shed their respective defenses, and meet each other in complete vulnerability. Here, the snake's control is not about dominance but about creating safety, and the goat's openness is not about neediness but about offering the kind of emotional truth that turns desire into lasting devotion. In this way, their physical relationship becomes more than an expression of passion, it becomes a cornerstone of their love, sustaining them through both the bright and challenging seasons of their shared life. Friendship. The friendship between an Aries snake and a Leo goat unfolds like a tapestry woven from threads of intellect, artistry, mutual admiration, and occasional tension. From their earliest encounters, there is an unmistakable curiosity between them. The Aries snake, with their worldly insight, instinctive strategic thinking, and ability to observe human behavior with remarkable accuracy, is intrigued by the Leo goat's capacity to see the world through a creative, emotionally vibrant lens. For the snake, who tends to approach relationships with a mixture of calculation and cautious openness, the goat represents a refreshing counterbalance, someone whose warmth is not naive but infused with an artistic sensibility that values beauty, harmony, and the intangible pleasures of life. The Leo goat, in turn, often finds the Aries snake's quiet confidence and depth of perspective captivating. While the goat's social world might include many light-hearted acquaintances, the snake offers something rare: a friend who is both intellectually stimulating and emotionally steady. The snake's manner, understated yet compelling, appeals to the goat's longing for substance beneath charm. In the snake, the goat sees a companion who can challenge them to think more critically, refine their ideas, and approach life's complexities with a touch more strategy. This mutual exchange of perspectives can make their conversations rich and memorable. The snake brings worldly knowledge, often accumulated through experience, observation, and a discerning mind that prefers truth over sentimentality. The goat offers creative vision, imagination, and an ability to find meaning in details others might overlook. Together, they can spend hours discussing topics ranging from art and culture to philosophy and personal development, each offering the other new angles and insights. However, the very qualities that draw them together can also give rise to friction. The Aries Snake's tendency toward privacy and strategic reserve can be misread by the Leo Goat as secrecy or even quiet judgment. The Goat, who thrives in relationships where feelings are shared freely, may struggle with the Snake's reluctance to reveal too much too soon. This can create a sense of imbalance, where the Goat feels they are offering openness without receiving it in return. On the other side, the Snake may find the Goat's idealism, their belief in the essential goodness of people and the possibility of perfect harmony, to be impractical, even unrealistic. The Snake's pragmatic nature may clash with the Goat's emotional sensitivities, especially in situations that require blunt truths or decisive action. The Snake might perceive the Goat as overly sensitive to criticism, while the Goat might see the Snake as unnecessarily detached or unyielding. Despite these challenges, there is a foundational respect that often underpins their connection. The Snake, though cautious in forming deep bonds, tends to value loyalty highly once trust is established. The Goat, for all their sensitivity, is deeply appreciative of genuine friendship and tends to be steadfast in their support of those they care about. This shared loyalty can act as a stabilizing force, helping them navigate disagreements without permanent damage to the relationship. Their common interests often serve as bridges over moments of misunderstanding. Shared passions such as art, music, cultural exploration, or personal growth projects provide fertile ground for collaboration and mutual enjoyment. The Goat's creative flair can inspire the Snake to take more risks in artistic or social endeavors, while the Snake's grounded perspective can help the Goat turn imaginative ideas into tangible achievements. In this way, they complement each other, each filling in the other's blind spots while amplifying their strengths. Over time, trust tends to deepen in this friendship. The Goat begins to understand that the Snake's privacy is not an act of rejection but a natural expression of their personality, a way of maintaining inner balance and control. Instead of pushing for constant disclosure, the Goat learns to appreciate the moments when the Snake does choose to open up, recognizing these as genuine acts of trust. Meanwhile, the Snake learns to value the Goat's generosity of spirit. Even if they do not always share the Goat's idealism, they come to see the value in having a friend who brings warmth and encouragement into their life. The Goat's open-heartedness, when not misunderstood as emotional impulsiveness, becomes a source of comfort and joy for the Snake, reminding them that relationships need not always be transactional or guarded to be meaningful. When well balanced, the friendship between an Aries Snake and a Leo Goat can last for decades. It becomes a relationship where both can rely on one another not only for practical advice or emotional support but also for the enrichment of their inner worlds. The Snake finds in the Goat a touchstone for emotional connection, and the Goat finds in the Snake a steady, reliable presence that grounds their sometimes wandering imagination. In the best scenarios, theirs is a friendship defined by mutual respect, growth, and the quiet confidence that, despite occasional disagreements, they can count on each other. It is a dynamic where two very different natures meet not to compete but to complement, resulting in a bond that feels both grounding and inspiring. Such friendships are rare, not built overnight but cultivated slowly, through shared experiences, patient understanding, and an enduring willingness to see the value in each other's differences. Business. In business, the partnership between an Aries Snake and a Leo Goat is one of those combinations that can either soar to remarkable success or collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. On paper, their skill sets appear almost perfectly complementary. The Aries Snake comes to the table with a sharp, disciplined mind, a natural grasp of strategy, and a long-range vision that allows them to identify opportunities and potential pitfalls far before others even notice them. They are the kind of business partner who is not merely reactive to changing circumstances but anticipates them, positioning themselves advantageously well in advance. This foresight stems from the Snake's inherent caution and the Aries' drive for achievement, making them both proactive and unafraid to take decisive action when timing is right. The Leo Goat, by contrast, operates from an entirely different but equally valuable space. They are a fountain of ideas, often brimming with creative solutions, fresh concepts, and an innate ability to present these ideas in ways that capture interest and inspire enthusiasm. In the business sphere, they are the vision shapers, the storytellers, the ones who can turn a dry concept into a compelling narrative that resonates with clients, customers, and the public. Their Leo energy gives them charisma and confidence in presentation, while their goat side adds aesthetic refinement and an intuitive understanding of how to create appeal. When working in harmony, this duo can achieve a rare synergy. The Aries Snake naturally takes on roles that involve structure, analysis, and strategic planning. They create the frameworks, roadmaps, and contingency plans that ensure the venture's long-term stability. The Leo goat flourishes in areas where presentation, branding, and client-facing communication are key. They can take the snake's calculated strategies and wrap them in a package that feels vibrant, human, and inviting. In such a setup, the snake ensures that the business has solid foundations, while the goat ensures that it has personality and visibility. However, the success of this pairing is not guaranteed, because their differences in decision-making styles can quickly become sources of tension. The Aries Snake relies on calculated precision. Every move is weighed, measured, and assessed for both immediate and long-term implications. They are wary of rushing into untested ideas without sufficient data or analysis. The Leo goat, on the other hand, often trusts instinct and inspiration, moving forward based on an internal sense of timing and creative momentum. While this intuitive approach can yield brilliant breakthroughs, it can also lead to decisions that the snake perceives as risky or impulsive. This divergence in thinking can create friction, especially when quick decisions are needed. The snake might accuse the goat of being impractical or naive, while the goat might see the snake as overly rigid or slow to act, missing opportunities in the name of caution. Such conflicts, if left unresolved, can not only derail specific projects but also erode mutual trust over time. The key to avoiding these pitfalls lies in clearly defining roles and boundaries within the partnership. If the snake can learn to defer to the goat in matters of presentation, marketing, and client relationships, trusting that the goat's flair for communication will yield positive results, and if the goat can respect the snake's authority when it comes to strategy, budgeting, and risk assessment, the business has a much better chance of flourishing. Mutual respect for each other's expertise is essential. It also helps when they create systems that blend their approaches. For example, the goat's instinctive ideas can be funneled through a process where the snake evaluates them for feasibility without stifling their originality. Similarly, the snake's strategic plans can be adapted by the goat to ensure they remain appealing and accessible to the intended audience. In this way, each partner's natural tendencies are honored rather than suppressed, and the final product benefits from both precision and creativity. When these adjustments are made, the Aries Snake-Leo Goat business partnership can be formidable. The snake's analytical strength and ability to anticipate market shifts combine with the goat's talent for building strong client relationships and presenting ideas with flair. This blend of foresight and charisma can open doors that would remain closed to more one-dimensional teams. Yet, they must also guard against the potential for ego clashes. Both Aries and Leo carry pride, and while the snake's pride is quiet and rooted in competence, the goat's is more visible, tied to their creative contributions and public recognition. If either partner feels undervalued, if the snake believes their strategic work is being overshadowed by the goat's showmanship, or if the goat feels their creativity is being dismissed in favor of cold logic, resentment can build. Acknowledging and celebrating each other's successes publicly within the partnership can go a long way toward preventing this. In the best cases, this pairing produces a business that is both stable and dynamic, with a clear strategic direction and a brand presence that captures attention. In the worst cases, it results in stalemates, mistrust, and a breakdown of cooperation. The determining factor is whether both partners can genuinely appreciate the other's value and work to integrate their contrasting methods rather than allowing them to become battlegrounds. When they do manage to find that balance, their ventures often stand out in their field, not because they are the most traditional or the most radical, but because they successfully marry calculated strategy with creative innovation. It is in this synthesis that the Aries Snake and Leo Goat find their shared path to professional success. Dark sides. Every pairing has shadows, and for the Aries Snake and Leo Goat, those shadows can be especially potent because they emerge from the very traits that, in more balanced moments, make them so magnetic to one another. Understanding these darker patterns is not about labeling one partner as the problem, but about recognizing the subtle ways their personalities can drift into destructive cycles if neither is paying attention. For the Aries Snake, the dark side often begins with their deep need for control and self-protection. While in its healthy form this manifests as foresight, discipline, and a calm approach to challenges, under stress it can mutate into manipulation, secrecy, and a calculated withdrawal from emotional engagement. When they feel threatened, whether by criticism, perceived disloyalty, or loss of influence, the snake can retreat into silence, not as an act of peacekeeping, but as a strategic move to regain the upper hand. This silence is rarely neutral. It carries an implicit message of disapproval, a way of making the other person feel the weight of distance without outright confrontation. The Leo Goat's darker tendencies are rooted in their emotional sensitivity and longing for affirmation. In balance, this sensitivity allows them to be compassionate and attentive. In imbalance, it can lead to emotional volatility, passive aggressiveness, and even escapism into fantasy or indulgence when reality feels too harsh. The goat may resort to drama to express hurt, not necessarily because they want conflict, but because they fear being ignored or undervalued. Their passive aggressiveness often comes in the form of subtle guilt tactics, reminders of past sacrifices, hints about the snake's perceived coldness, or exaggerated expressions of disappointment designed to provoke a reaction. When these shadow traits collide, a pattern can form that is uniquely difficult to break. The snake's instinct, when confronted with drama or emotional demands, is to retreat into a shell of self-sufficiency, cutting off emotional access to the goat. The goat, sensing this withdrawal, becomes more desperate to draw the snake back, escalating their emotional expression in the hope of breaking through the snake's reserve. What begins as a minor misunderstanding can spiral into a feedback loop of silence and theatrical displays, neither of which brings resolution. These cycles, if repeated often enough, can erode the foundation of trust and intimacy between them. The snake begins to anticipate that the goat's vulnerability will come with strings attached, while the goat begins to expect that the snake will always choose control over connection. Over time, each partner's darker assumptions about the other become self-fulfilling, with defensive behavior on both sides reinforcing the very traits they most resent. For the Aries Snake, unchecked secrecy can become toxic. When they start holding back critical information, whether about their feelings, plans, or even minor decisions, they may justify it as avoiding unnecessary drama, but in reality, they are creating an emotional distance that the goat experiences as rejection. This covert approach to conflict leaves no room for real dialogue, and it robs the relationship of the transparency necessary for trust. For the Leo goat, unchecked emotional volatility can become equally damaging. If every perceived slight or unmet need results in a surge of visible disappointment or an indirect emotional strike, the snake will feel increasingly cornered. Over time, the goat's displays, whether through words, tone, or deliberate withdrawal of warmth, may push the snake further into their own defenses, confirming the goat's fear that emotional honesty only drives their partner away. The danger here is that both partners are, in their own way, reacting from fear rather than love. The snake fears vulnerability because it threatens their sense of control. The goat fears detachment because it threatens their sense of worth. Both are motivated by a desire to protect themselves, yet their protective strategies are in direct opposition. The snake's defense is to close off, the goat's is to lean in with heightened emotion, and without awareness, these approaches lock them in a struggle that feels inescapable. Breaking this pattern requires deliberate, mutual effort. The antidote lies in direct, respectful communication, something that may not come naturally to either in moments of stress. For the snake, this means resisting the urge to retreat entirely when they feel threatened, and instead articulating what they need in order to stay engaged in the conversation. Even small admissions like, "I need a moment to think about this," or, "I'm feeling defensive right now," can break the cycle of silent withdrawal. For the goat, the challenge is to express their emotional needs without resorting to tactics that might be perceived as manipulation. This requires trusting that the snake is capable of responding without being prodded or cornered. Clear statements like, "I feel disconnected when you don't share what's going on," are more likely to reach the snake than indirect hints or exaggerated emotional cues. Both must also learn to recognize when they are operating from fear. For the snake, this means noticing when control has shifted from being a stabilizing force to being a shield against intimacy. For the goat, it means recognizing when the desire for reassurance has turned into a demand that undermines their partner's sense of autonomy. By identifying these moments in real time, they can choose to pause, recalibrate, and respond in ways that nurture rather than harm the connection. In truth, their shadows are not unique to this pairing, but the way they manifest together can be particularly challenging because each person's defense mechanisms trigger the others. The snake's secrecy feeds the goat's anxiety, which in turn justifies the snake's withdrawal. Without conscious intervention, the relationship risks becoming defined by these cycles rather than by the qualities that first drew them together. Yet, there is hope in the fact that these patterns are learned, not fixed. Both the Aries snake and the Leo goat have the capacity for self-awareness, and when they commit to using it, their shadows lose much of their power. By replacing silent walls with honest words, and dramatic appeals with open vulnerability, they can transform the moments that once deepened the divide into opportunities for greater intimacy. In the end, their dark sides are not fatal flaws, they are simply unrefined expressions of deeply human needs. When those needs are acknowledged, respected, and addressed directly, the very traits that once caused friction can become reminders of how much they have grown together. What was once a cycle of withdrawal and pursuit can become a cycle of understanding and reconnection, strengthening the bond rather than eroding it. Life goals. The life goals of an Aries snake and a Leo goat are like two distinct constellations in the same night sky, each with its own shape, light, and guiding principles, but capable of forming a breathtaking panorama when aligned correctly. For the Aries snake, life is often viewed as a grand arena in which skill, influence, and mastery must be developed, refined, and ultimately recognized. They are driven by a sense that their existence should leave a measurable mark, not merely in the eyes of others, but in the tangible structure and stability they create for themselves. This is a personality that thrives on achievement, yet not in a purely material sense. Success, to the Aries snake, is defined by the degree of control they exert over their circumstances, the precision with which they execute their plans, and the mastery they achieve in their chosen fields or pursuits. The snake's Aries side contributes ambition and courage, a willingness to initiate bold ventures and take decisive action. The snake aspect adds calculation, patience, and an ability to think in long arcs, seeing not just the next step but the entire landscape ahead. Together, these traits form a life philosophy that prizes strategy as much as strength. To the Aries snake, life is not a series of disconnected events but a carefully constructed narrative in which each decision is a chapter building toward a purposeful ending. The Leo goat approaches life from a different but equally compelling perspective. Their primary compass points toward beauty, love, and emotional fulfillment. While they may also value success and recognition, these are rarely pursued as ends in themselves. Instead, they are seen as natural byproducts of living authentically and in harmony with their values. The goat's Leo side fuels a desire to be appreciated not just for their abilities, but for the light, warmth, and inspiration they bring to those around them. The goat aspect adds a softer layer of idealism, artistry, and a yearning for comfort, not as laziness, but as a conscious choice to surround themselves with environments and experiences that nurture the soul. To the Leo goat, life is not merely a mission to be accomplished, it is a canvas to be painted, a garden to be cultivated, a melody to be composed over time. They measure their success not solely in accolades or achievements, but in the depth of their relationships, the beauty they help create, and the sense of emotional richness they experience on a daily basis. When the life goals of the Aries Snake and Leo Goat are aligned, their differences can create a partnership that is as effective as it is inspiring. The Snake's strategic thinking and drive to master challenges provide the framework, the sturdy scaffolding on which dreams can be built. The Goat's sense of joy, meaning, and beauty fills that structure with color, texture, and a sense of lived humanity. In such a union, the Snake ensures that the couple's ambitions have a clear path forward, while the Goat ensures that the journey toward those ambitions is as meaningful and enjoyable as the final destination. However, alignment is not automatic. The potential for divergence lies in the fact that one prioritizes achievement while the other prioritizes comfort and harmony. If the Snake becomes too focused on climbing higher, accumulating influence, or refining mastery, they may overlook the importance of slowing down to savor life, something the Goat sees as essential. The Goat, meanwhile, may sometimes resist the discipline and sustained effort required to achieve larger goals, preferring instead to focus on present pleasures and emotional well-being. When these visions drift too far apart, friction can develop. The Snake might begin to see the Goat as complacent or lacking in ambition, while the Goat may perceive the Snake as relentless, unyielding, or even joyless in their pursuit of accomplishment. Such perceptions can create an emotional rift, with each partner feeling misunderstood and undervalued in their core motivations. The key to bridging this gap is mutual respect for the validity of each other's priorities. The Snake must learn that comfort, beauty, and emotional connection are not distractions from life's purpose but essential components of a fulfilling existence. The Goat must come to understand that structure, achievement, and disciplined effort are not antithetical to joy but can actually enable greater freedom and security. In practical terms, this means creating shared goals that incorporate elements of both visions. For example, the Snake might work toward a business milestone or personal mastery project while agreeing to celebrate each phase with experiences that satisfy the Goat's love of beauty and connection. A trip to a culturally rich destination, a home improvement that enhances daily comfort, or a celebration with loved ones. The Goat, in turn, might commit to developing a project or skill with more structure and consistency, aligning their creative energy with the Snake's long-term planning. When this balance is achieved, their partnership can feel like the best of both worlds, a life that is neither all grind nor all leisure, but a dynamic blend of purposeful achievement and soulful enjoyment. The Snake gains a reason to savor the journey rather than rushing toward the next challenge, and the Goat gains a sense of grounded accomplishment that makes their comfort all the sweeter. Ultimately, the alignment of life goals for an Aries Snake and Leo Goat is not just about avoiding conflict. It is about harnessing their differences to create a shared vision that is richer, more resilient, and more satisfying than either could achieve alone. When they manage this, they do more than coexist. They build a life that is both strategically sound and emotionally radiant, a legacy of mastery infused with beauty, and beauty supported by mastery. Final conclusions. The Aries Snake and Leo Goat pairing is, at its essence, a meeting of two distinct yet complementary energies, one sharpened by strategy, the other softened by artistry. It is a blend of passion and poetry, where the fire of Aries meets the tenderness of the Goat, and the calculated subtlety of the Snake intertwines with the radiant warmth of Leo. The result can be a partnership that is as compelling to outsiders as it is enriching to those within it. Yet, as with all unions that combine contrasting temperaments, the key to lasting success lies not in erasing differences but in learning how to honor and integrate them. For the Aries Snake, life is a chessboard, and every move must be deliberate. They approach relationships with the same blend of foresight, control, and guarded emotionality that they bring to their other pursuits. To them, love is as much about stability and strategic compatibility as it is about passion. The Leo Goat, by contrast, experiences life as a tapestry of emotions, relationships, and beauty. They approach partnership as a shared emotional landscape to be explored together, measuring success in terms of intimacy, joy, and mutual inspiration. The point of convergence between these two lies in their shared capacity for loyalty and their appreciation for quality. whether in lifestyle, relationships, or personal achievements. When they are aligned, the snake's meticulous structure provides the goat with a safe foundation upon which to build their dreams, while the goat's creativity and open-heartedness bring color and warmth to the snake's ordered world. The relationship becomes both a fortress and a garden, both a plan and a poem. However, the same traits that form their initial attraction can, without self-awareness, become sources of tension. The snake's mystery, so alluring in the early stages, may later be interpreted by the goat as secrecy or emotional distance. The goat's vulnerability, initially seen as charming and authentic, may in time be viewed by the snake as unpredictability or excessive emotional demand. This is the paradox of their connection. The very qualities that draw them together must be carefully managed if they are to remain assets rather than liabilities. Self-awareness is therefore not a luxury in this pairing, it is the central pillar that holds the entire structure together. Both must be willing to recognize their default patterns under stress and choose responses that foster connection rather than division. For the snake, this often means sharing more than feels instinctively safe, allowing the goat access to their inner world in ways that affirm trust. For the goat, it means tempering emotional intensity when it risks overwhelming the snake, focusing instead on clear, constructive communication. Adaptability plays an equally important role. The Aries snake must be open to moments of spontaneity and emotional flow, even when they challenge the snake's preference for control. The Leo goat must be willing to engage with structure, discipline, and delayed gratification, even when their heart longs for immediate comfort or beauty. These adjustments are not about changing core identities but about creating space for the other's nature to thrive. If both partners embrace this balance, the rewards are considerable. They can create a life that is both stable and inspiring, blending the snake's long-term vision with the goat's sense of presence and joy. The partnership can weather external challenges with grace because it combines resilience with creativity, pragmatism with idealism. In such a state of harmony, they become more than just a couple. They become co-architects of a shared life that is both well-designed and deeply lived. Conversely, if they resist adaptation, the relationship may enter a cycle of mutual frustration. The snake's guardedness will feed the goat's insecurities, while the goat's emotional fluctuations will deepen the snake's instinct to retreat. Over time, each will feel increasingly misunderstood, and the traits that once symbolized attraction will instead symbolize incompatibility. The deciding factor, therefore, is not fate but choice. The astrology of Aries snake and Leo goat outlines potential strengths and vulnerabilities, but it is the conscious actions of the individuals involved that determine the outcome. Respect, adaptability, and a shared commitment to nurturing both stability and emotional richness will transform this pairing into one of lasting significance. When nurtured, this union offers a rare synthesis: strength paired with beauty, logic enhanced by romance, and ambition softened by heart. It is the kind of relationship that can be both a sanctuary from the world and a source of inspiration for navigating it. In its highest form, the Aries snake and Leo goat partnership stands as proof that opposites do not merely attract, they can evolve together, shaping a life that is both strategically sound and emotionally radiant.